A very good morning to you all. My name is Nahid Jiwani, the Group Sales Director of Leisure and Travel Guides East Africa Limited, better known as the proprietors of the Go Places brand, its products, and various exciting and unique concept, a truly Kenyan product. The Chef's Delight Awards Program 2012. Internet, social, and e-marketing platforms, as well as a free restaurant booking call-in center that is open 365 days of the year, setting apart for Kenya not only to become a prime tourism destination, but a prime culinary destination. Without eating in too much into my CEO's speech,
as we officially launch the commencement of the Chef Delight Awards program, the first of its kind initiative in Africa. It is truly a momentous day, not only for the country's culinary service sector, but to the tourism industry as a whole, and a boost to the everyday effort of promoting Kenya as a prime destination. Culinary tourism, or food tourism, is best described as experiencing the food of a particular country, region, or area while on travel. This aspect is now considered a vital component of the tourist experience, whether it be from the local, regional, or international tourism markets. As we all know, dining out is a daily occurrence and routine, with food ranking alongside climate, accommodation, and scenery in terms of importance to the visitor. Some may ask, why have culinary experiences and cuisines become integral both to the local, regional, and international visitor? Well, in this day and age, the local, regional, and international traveler is more cultured compared to 20 years ago. These individuals are well-traveled, searching for new experiences, and that are both social and engaging, and are health conscious, are interested in living the better well-being lifestyle, and want to experience the surrounding cosmopolitan cultures while on their journeys. All these factors above are directly linked to their dining experience in our country's culinary establishments. Overall, what diners are searching for today is a high-quality experience, and that is why food is such an integral and significant aspect of a visitor's experience of a destination, as the quality of cuisine and the quality of service received is at the very core of the visitor's overall view of the quality of a destination. This is much more than an awards program. The beauty of the Chef Delights Awards is that it is all-inclusive and beneficial to the restaurants, to the chefs, to the diners, and the country's vibrant culinary scene. The unique concept of the Chef's Delights Awards is not simply to award culinary establishments that exist, which has been the norm in other culinary award schemes previously seen. This would prove to be futile in the efforts to strengthen our culinary and tourism industry. Rather, or more effectively, it provides participating partner culinary establishments a consumer feedback mechanism to improve, retain, and maintain their levels of quality. And more importantly, a structure to assist them in increasing their number of clientele, and a data collection method to assist them in building up and retaining their very own loyal customer base. This process occurs by them publicly establishing a norm that portrays their commitment to providing high levels of quality as a Chef's Delight Awards nominee. This awards program is an ongoing initiative and is thus geared towards building and enhancing the quality of dining experience and the quality of service delivery in our country's culinary service sector, and setting a basis and a foundation for the country, for the industry to compete on a global level by establishments following and maintaining international culinary standards of quality. In the Chef Delights Awards, nominated restaurants and chefs will compete against other establishments in the same cuisine category based on two facets of quality, namely the quality of dining experience and the quality of service offered, thus enhancing the restaurant and their chefs and their culinary teams' commitment to create the demand for perfection and creativity, as well as encouraging the improvement of quality, consistency, and delivery from the dining establishments and the industry as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, all these factors above are directly linked to the dining experience in our country's culinary establishments. Overall, what diners are searching for today, I have mixed up my speech, and Jackie Anjao, who is also an expert consultant and associate of Lucy Macready's consultancy, who have been nominated for the Chef's Delights Awards under various categories. Thank you for being part of this process, and let us all together help raise the bar in Our Night Awards 2012. Welcome, Asif. Thank you.
Partners and directors of RSM Ashware, I would like to thank Go Places and the Chef's Delight team for inviting us to be the official audit partners for the Chef's Delight Awards, which I believe is a first of its kind in a Doing Business in Kenya booklet, which has been rated by most as the most comprehensive doing business booklet in Kenya. Go Places in
Good morning. Innovate conducts a lot of research, including market research, social research, and a very small proportion of our business is actually political research. Now what our role is basically to offer a scientific process against which the best restaurant will be selected. And this, we will use qualitative and quantitative measures. I would like to give you an overview of the methodology. And our understanding so far is that there are 75 outlets that have been nominated to participate in this initiative. The way we will do it is that we will segment the restaurants by the various categories. For example, is it a fast food? Is it oriental? Is it a Chinese restaurant? And so on. The process will be that the customer, or what I would call the respondent, will go to an outlet and dine or eat some food. Once they have finished having an experience in the restaurant, we will then ask them to fill a questionnaire, and in this questionnaire, they will assess the experience based on a number of attributes. I'll share the attributes a bit later. Now, on the form that they fill, the form will contain their contact details, meaning their name, their telephone number, and email address. The forms will then be collected and brought to our offices, and before we begin the analysis, our role will be to verify that the person actually participated in the survey and they went to the restaurant. So what we will do is that we will contact those who have filled the forms, just a simple question. Did you actually go to this particular restaurant, and did you dine, and did you fill the questionnaire? Once we verify that, we shall then enter the data and analyze it. Now, the way the analysis has been done is taking into consideration the various kind of people who are going to the restaurants. For instance, there's a likelihood that some of the people who fill the questionnaire could be Kenyan residents, or they could be non-residents. We will provide an analysis of both residents and non-residents. Then we'll also check, are they dining? Are they having dinner, or are they having lunch? Because the experience across the two kind of meals actually is different. Let me share some of the attributes that we will ask them to evaluate the restaurant. The first one being presentation. Was the meal presented in an attractive manner? The second one, of course, is the taste. Does the taste meet the expectations? The third one is the overall quality. What is the overall experience, or how they rate the overall dining experience? The ambience, how they rate the ambience. The quality of the service, how are they served? And finally, the menu and beverage selection. Did they have a variety? Did the restaurant have a variety of items on the menu? And is this, does this meet the expectations of the person who's dining? Now, once we analyze this, we will deliver a monthly report to Chef's Delight and the auditors, and they'll be checking whether this report actually meets the standards expected. Now, there's a challenge that some restaurants may not have enough people dining in on a monthly basis, and it therefore means that the survey has to run over a longer period of time so that we generate a critical mass of people who are dining for a quantitative analysis. So even though we'll be providing monthly reports, at the end of the 5 months, we shall actually do an aggregate of all the people who dined and provide a very strong quantitative analysis, because by then the sample size will be robust for each outlet. Now, you may have some questions after this presentation, and feel free to approach me and ask me questions about the methodology. I've also been accompanied by my colleague, Rosemary Wanjiro. Please lift, yeah. And Rosemary, wave. She's the project manager for this particular initiative, and please feel free to ask us questions about the methodology. Thank you very much.
By the way, as at now, Maggie had mentioned that we have 75 restaurants. I'm glad to mention that we now have 86 restaurants that have been nominated in this particular program. I'd also like to inform you that the nomination process is still going on and will go on within the first 2 months of the program as well. At this time, I'd like to welcome one of our other guests. And
I know it's a cold morning, but that's not very warm. Warm jambo to you all. Jambo. Jambo. Thank you. For me, it gives us a great pleasure and privilege to be here. I know when Mansour came to see me, there's a little bit of a story he didn't tell us. He said to me that in the past few years, he used to be a chef, right? And he said that the problem with being a chef, it's not a problem actually, but the issue is that you are most often at the back. So people never see the face. The only thing is that they experience the food, they experience the beverage, but they never come to link the face of the person to the food. And he said, with these kind of awards, what he wants to do is to bring forward the chef so that people get to know the person who did the job, and they also get to experience and make people appreciate the fact that we have so much diversity when it comes to things to do with food. And I said to him, this is a great idea, and as Kenya Tourist Board would be glad to support you, glad to work with you so that we can bring this to reality. And I think for me now is to say thank you very much, because we seem to be heading in the right direction. So for KTB, we are proud to be associated with the Chef's Delight Awards and Program. For us, we take this as a very ideal platform in terms of diversifying our tourism offer. Kenya is well known as a beach and wildlife safari destination. But we do know that in the last couple of years, we've had to diversify our tourism product. The reason being, if you sell the same product over time, I think the researchers will tell you, it reaches a point whereby it gets the product life cycle of decline or maturity. And unless you do something about it, that product is ultimately going to decline or to die off. Besides that also, the world is changing, and they say you cannot cross the same river twice. So indeed, we've had to diversify our products. And we see something to do with the culinary tourism as an ideal opportunity for us to showcase to the world what Kenya is for. With 42 different communities, I'm sure diversity is there for us all to see. Now, I'm also told that this program perhaps is the only one of its kind in the whole of East and Central Africa. So indeed, we are now putting ourselves in the map of things to do with the culinary tourism, which world over has become a major source of attraction. When you talk about the new levels of tourism, new business, it's all coming as a result of new products like, for example, MICE, things to do with sports tourism, culture, and culinary tourism as it is. And therefore, for us, we say that would be part and parcel of this program, would support Niv and Mansour, so that at the end of the day, we're able to showcase Kenya from this perspective. Again, also, just yesterday night, very interestingly, there was an expose on television. I don't know how many of us watched Citizen TV last night. For those of us who watched the program, it was very inspiring. It's a lady who's basically showcasing traditional food offered in this country. Many of us, when we go out into the world, we do know that a lot of countries specialize on different cuisines. I know, like my good friend in Carnival, specialize very well on the carnivore side of food. That means the meat and so on. Now, other parts of the world, they specialize so much on other diverse aspects of food. I remember an experience I had sometimes back in China, where I was told in Shanghai that I'm going to take you to a very special restaurant. Little did I know that that restaurant, they were offering eels. Now, at the back of my mind, I was saying, how the hell can I eat this kind of stuff? But my experience when I ate that food was very, very invigorating. In fact, I would say that it was one of the best experiences I had during my time in China. So we're saying that with this kind of program in place, with this kind of awards in place, we are basically going to be getting the talent out of the people. We're going to get the people to come and showcase to us what they're best known for. And for us in tourism, it's something very good. It's something that we support so that at the end of the day, we show Kenya from a diversity in terms of the tourism products. Therefore, without too much ado, I think it's my pleasure to declare this Chef's Award program, or initiative, open. And I think we'll be glad to roll up our sleeves and see what Niv and Mansoor have got to offer us. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
All ready for this challenge. I would now like to officially unveil the Chef's Delight products or nomination pack. I'll ask Mr. Murid Degwa to accompany me so we can unveil the ballot. Gold stands for the awards, black stands for our country, Africa. We're going to provide a lot of experience to our diners in the next, once we start the launch. I would like to mention that our launch is going to be on the 26th of this month. Same venue, but in the courtyard and the whole of Kenya. This is the ballot box, where once your diners have filled out these opinion forms, they will put them into the ballot box there. We're going to provide you with a certificate of nomination both for your restaurant and for the chef. We're going to provide... yes.
For those of you at the back, what message do we have here? We have, don't forget to drop your vote in here to win fabulous monthly prizes. That's what the message says here. Thank you.
On their experience or at your restaurant, but they're also getting some chances to win wonderful prizes. We've got meal vouchers, most of you have provided to us. We've got airline tickets, we've got dine at your fine restaurants. Thank you very much. I'd now like to give a vote of thanks before we break off. Yes, KTB Managing Director Murid Degwa for finding time off from his busy schedule to grace this press conference. It is such an honor. Our deep appreciation also goes to Ipsos Sinabet, Managing Director. I would also like to thank our partners and sponsors, namely Panel of Experts, Felix Euler, Chef Felix Euler, Chef Tom Ovino, Nikki Payne, Philip Kabir, Lucy Macredis, and Jacqueline Njau. President, that's the press, for those who don't know. We deeply appreciate your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly join us now for some refreshments outside. Just a word from Dave. I'd like to thank some of the people who are within us. Faith from Kenya Women Association for Tourism. Thank you, Chairman.
I start? Okay. Thank you very much. I think for us, from a Kenya Tourist Board perspective, I roll? Thank you very much. I think for us, from a Kenya Tourist Board perspective, this is a great opportunity for us to showcase Kenya from a diverse range of tourism products. Indeed, we know that when a tourist goes to a country, they want to experience that country, they want to see the diversity in that country. So when we showcase something like culinary tourism, this is something that is new, this is something that is noble, and is obviously something that we'd like to support. Indeed, one of the things that we've been informed is that in these Chef's Delight Awards, we're going to be looking at the experience, in terms of the service delivery. We're also going to be looking at the quality of the service and also quality of the food. Now, any tourist going to any place indeed would like to see quality service, would also like to see the different diversity in terms of the culinary of that country. So it's a noble venture, it's something that we support, and it's something that we would like to work together with the organizers so that we can showcase Kenya from that perspective. Now, this question has been asked many a times, and it's also been addressed by various government agencies and government officials. But the fact of the matter is that any tourist going to any destination, they want to go to a place that they feel they're safe to move around, to walk around, and to experience that destination. So obviously, whenever there's an insecurity issue, be it in terms of perception or in reality, that's obviously something of concern. The fact of the matter is that in the last couple of months, we've had some incidences in this country, but the positive aspect is that the government has moved very, very fast to ensure that Kenya is not only just safe for the tourists, but also safe for the locals. Liaising with the tour operators and also with the hoteliers, we have not had any specific cancellations that we can put our finger on and say specifically that has happened. However, you do also recall that there's been travel advisories issued against the country by some of the major source nations, and obviously this becomes a point of concern. So we're saying that the government has done very well in terms of forestalling any insecurity issues or incidences, but there's a lot that we need to do so that we can ensure that this destination is totally safe, not just from a perspective of the reality, but also in terms of even perception. It's still a little early in the year, but the first 3 months of this year, when we released the statistics, and also the subsequent months that came, we've seen that there's a little bit of slowness in terms of when we compare with last year. But you also must recall that last year was the best performing year, but we are obviously concerned, especially when we see some of the main source destinations, US, for example, which have advisories issued against the country, and that obviously becomes a point of concern for all of us. The role of Kenya Tourist Board is to market Kenya as a tourist destination to the local, regional, and international market. So any aspect of tourism that adds, or any aspect that adds value to tourism, it's something that we would be happy to collaborate or work in. So what has happened is that when the team of Mansour and Nev came to us and they said they want to introduce something called culinary tourism, it's all about rewarding establishments that have embraced different aspects of culinary tourism. We say this is a good opportunity for all of us to diversify our tourism product. And if our support is in terms of endorsing the program, in terms of getting it to be known, not just in the country, but worldwide, through our Magical Kenya website, through our social media network, through our online marketing, and therefore working hand in hand with the team that is organizing the Chef's Delight Award program, so that this can be known and this can be embraced by the whole country.
Okay. Ipsos Innovate has partnered with Chef's Delight in this very prestigious award initiative. We are very excited to be part of the hospitality industry, and it is a fact that the hospitality industry does contribute a significant amount of money to the Kenyan economy. Now, we have done a lot of research in the hospitality industry for hotels, for restaurants, and this is just an additional initiative by partnering with the hospitality industry. We are excited, and we cannot wait to start doing the survey so that we can see which restaurants are performing best. Talking a bit about the methodology, the role of Ipsos Innovate is to provide a scientific measurement for the best restaurant. What we will do is that we will go to the restaurants, we will ask those people who go to the restaurants to fill a form, and the form will basically they will be given feedback on the experience at the restaurant. We'll then collect the forms. We actually anticipate to collect about 800,000 forms, of which we'll do analysis on the best restaurant. Now, restaurants have varied. You have restaurants that are serving African food, you have restaurants that are serving Chinese food, Mediterranean food, and so on. We will analyze the report to provide a basis for coming up with the best restaurant per category. Again, we must appreciate that there will be local Kenyans who are going to the restaurants, and there will be non-residents. We'll analyze the experience of residents and non-residents on the various restaurants that they visit. So we are excited, and we cannot wait for this initiative to actually launch, because we will be part of the process from the beginning up to the end.
Do you think the research will boost tourism or hotel business?
What the survey will do, it will encourage the restaurants to actually increase or upgrade the quality of their service, upgrade the quality of their food, because if you want your restaurant to be rated the best, then you've got no option than to actually provide the best service and the best meals. Now, eventually, we expect that will actually boost the hospitality industry in the long run.
Thank you.
Capital, and essentially the customers who did that up to 2,000, for every shilling they converted, they have 1,100 shillings, and that is why it created the millionaires. So we can see how quickly entrepreneurship can create wealth. But as you can see, an entrepreneur without the backing of financial resources is handicapped. I was lucky I had customers to convince. Those in the manufacturing sector are very little to convince the people who buy from them. I could only convince because I could look at the account balance and recall individuals and say, this, we were negotiating something I knew there was. So that is not everybody who is privileged. When customers could not support the growth anymore, I ended up going to AFC, and I was lucky that I was able to convince them to form the first microfinance fund for Africa that was based in Senegal. They invested $1.6 million. 5 years later, for every dollar they invested, they got $80 and exited. So really what we're saying is that a lot of capital markets do not have really, and those who know, in 2004 to convert Equity Bank, we had again to go and do a private placement where we raised $10 million, and that private placement for the Kenyans, that's what created Nelson Mugoko to be the biggest individual shareholder in Equity, created British American to be a significant shareholder in Equity Bank. But soon after $10 million, we exhausted. And then I realized these short-term games are not going to take me anywhere. And I'm glad Stella is here, went and printed and presented my case. Because when I asked the accountants to do an late evaluation for Equity, they returned a valuation of 70 shillings per share. And I said, I thought it was more. So I said, we will not do an IPO, we'll do an introduction, a listing by introduction. And I'm really glad. It's a concept that had never been tried in sub-Saharan Africa. We became the first company in Africa to go to the stock exchange, do an introduction. And sure thing, when the bell was rung, the price went to 123. So if I had agreed to 70, I could have transferred 50% of the value to the incoming shareholders. And do you know what happened? Same year, we did the introduction, we did a bet, and Equity was able to raise $185 million in one single transaction, making it the best capital. What am I saying? Africa, however much we build entrepreneurs, the fact that naturally the bottom line at the moment is low, they will not be able, they don't have the resources to proud. So what we need to do is to deepen and strengthen our capital markets, such that these capital markets become the source of funding entrepreneurs. So to me, my contribution and submission is that as accountants, let's try and develop this institution of capital markets if we want to really spark growth in Africa, in addition to refocusing our energy into developing entrepreneurs in the continent. Once we develop entrepreneurs, we need to understand Africa needs to be integrated with the rest of the world. Can we create an enabling environment that allows foreign direct investments to come and support? We need foreign direct investments on two accounts. Not only will they bring money, but they will leapfrog technology, because that really experience of this will not only bring money, skills, experience, and competencies, and allow Africa to avoid the mistakes that have been made elsewhere. Because no investor will come to make mistakes if they have made them in Europe. They will come and avoid all the mistakes that they have made. So there are quite a lot of learnings that we can. And of course, there is no harm in cross-breeding that which is African and global, so that you can have the best of the breeds. So essentially for me, creating an enabling environment, particularly for us accountants, we are very good in lobbying. Can we lobby our government to create an enabling environment, not only for our local, but also foreign investors? So in a nutshell, once we do that, I think then the question that we need to do is to encourage Africa to develop ethics and accountability as we exploit these resources. The African wealth can either be a curse or a blessing, and it depends on how the environment we create in the process of accountability. We've found a couple of countries that have exploited oil, and then it has become really a challenge to those countries. It's my prayer that as accountants, we really create a continent driven by very strong values with really answer is to the issue of accountability. And in the process, because we are all relatively not well doing, then we, again, when we do well, we all do well. Let's not make the same mistake of creating a very wide gap between the rich and the poor, simply on account of non-accountability for those with the mandate. As I try to wind up, let's say as we promote capital markets, the quality of accounting standards needs also to be it's very important, so that reliability and dependability of whatever we say then speaks for ourselves and makes us be counted on. So that is, for me, is very, very, very important. I think ACCA, Mr. President, has a huge role. It's a very well respected profession. It's a very well respected organization, and we can leverage on the brand that you have of contributing to what we wanted to achieve with the theme of supporting growth and shaping the future of Kenya and Africa. Thank you very much, and enjoy your time.
My name is Jamel Ampoma. I'm the ACCA Director for Sub-Saharan Africa. ACCA has been, I'll look at you, okay. So my name is Jamil Ampoma, ACCA Director for Sub-Saharan Africa. ACCA has had its first Council in Africa in Nairobi this month. Now the objective was for Council to come to Africa to learn about Africa. To round it off, we've had a gala dinner where we invited Dr. James Mwangi as our chief guest. Now James mentioned a number of important points. The first was around entrepreneurship. And the focus was to say that Africa could only be developed and progressed through the work of entrepreneurs. Now, to make this happen, his focus was on being able to get the accountancy profession to support entrepreneurs by giving them the right business advice to do so. Now, in making this happen, ACCA is committed to working with small businesses and with those who have the entrepreneurial spirit to develop, to be able to work and drive forward in achieving their objectives. Now we do this through some of our members, and we also do this through organizing relevant forums where we are able to support entrepreneurs through capacity building. One other area that James flagged was the capital markets and the importance of having effective capital markets. Now, we have recently launched a report on capital markets, and we are in the process of having roundtables across Africa and, of course, across other emerging markets. And the objective is to learn and to contribute to the body of knowledge that can support in making, especially emerging markets, much more effective in being able to raise capital. This is one of the main areas that we want to focus on. Now, finally, I think one of the areas James also touched on was accountability and ethics, and the fact that it was very important for accountants and for people in leadership to be able to act ethically and work in the interests of the economies and also in the interests of the organizations that they work with. Now, this is something that we at ACCA promote extensively. Now, part of our training program for our members and really for our students as well is to get them to act ethically and to be able to be accountable wherever they are. And this is an area that we're going to focus on very, very much. Now, finally, James also talked about Kenya being open for business and the fact that there were several projects that have been identified which we can work on from a private-public partnership perspective. Now, this was not just limited to Kenya, but also across Africa. Now, as ACCA, we are doing a lot of work across Africa, and we have recently also published a report on public-private partnerships. What we have done in that report is to highlight some of the challenges and some of the drawbacks with these relationships. And what we are suggesting really is for organizations to learn from those who have done it in the past and to be able to avoid those mistakes in that we're committed, so that we can progress as Africa in being able to get it right when it comes to public-private partnerships.
Okay. Now, in a nutshell, could you sort of like wrap up the takeout of the meeting and the visit that has taken place since the council, arrived in Kenya?
Council arrived in Kenya early this week. The focus of the visit was to learn more about Africa, to understand what some of the opportunities and challenges were. I think for us, the fundamental point was to say that Africa is at a threshold of growth. There has been sustainable growth over a number of years. There are still challenges, and the objective of Council was really to interact with key stakeholders to understand where we as ACCA could plug in and support the development of not just the accountancy profession, but economies within Africa. So in a nutshell, Council has been here to really engage with key stakeholders, understand some of the opportunities and the challenges. And I believe Council is leaving with a better knowledge and understanding of Africa and of Kenya. And I think the hope is that through this visit, we'll be able to have much more concrete interactions that will generate concrete benefits for Kenya as a country and for Africa as a region.
And in view of all that has been discussed by James Mwangi and the context of what's going on in Africa and the threshold you're talking about, there are some commitments at ACCA.
We are clear on the commitments that we want to make. The first is that we want to develop the accountancy profession in Africa, because we believe that a strong professional accountancy body or a strong professional accountancy framework is the basis or the basic infrastructure that you need for economic development. So what we are going to do as an organization and through our members is to support the development of that infrastructure across Africa and in Kenya specifically. Now, we will do that through promoting our members and through the continuous professional development that we offer to our members. We will also do that by ensuring that we work closely with our partners and our key stakeholders, who are employers, like the big four accounting firms, the large corporates, and indeed small business organizations, to make sure that they all are cognizant and clear of what they need to do in being accountable. And I think through that process, we will be able to contribute to this move forward to generate growth across Africa. So research, what we want to do is to be able to work closely with key stakeholders in Africa. So we don't want to do research in isolation, say in Europe, and then try and tailor it to Africa. What we want to do is to do research in Africa with African stakeholders linked to relevant Africans who are impacted by the work that we do, so that the work becomes more relevant. Now, in that respect, what we've done in the past 6 months is to actually recruit a head of policy for sub-Saharan Africa, so that we are able to tap into the challenges that we face in Africa and be able to objectively and constructively contribute to the development of research in Africa. And in Kenya, we have gained commitment to work, for example, with with Strathmore University in being able to put this forward.